When you say gun sense, what kind of things are you looking for?
Getting background checks in place at a federal level.
Strengthening laws to reduce firearms trafficking.
More than 40% of all guns are sold without any kind of background check whatsoever.
I think there should be some changes.
It's more than 6 million guns every year.
We should learn from what happened at Sandy Hook.
Banning the future sale and possession of assault weapons and large capacity ammunition magazines.
Allowing me to make sure that I feel like I'm protecting my family.
Home safety.
Home protection, hunting, shooting sport.
I want everybody to be happy and safe.
It's a constitutional right. You may, as an American citizen, buy a firearm for any people to do. Most people purchase guns in our store generally for
Home safety.
Home protection, hunting, shooting sports. Believe it or not, it's a very active sporting community. It has a good competition behind it. There's always the ability to get better at your craft, get better at shooting, get tighter groupings. But there's a multitude of reasons, and the most important reason that is it's a constitutional right.
90% of the reason I have firearms is for hunting purposes. I enjoy it. It's an awesome recreation. It's a stress reliever. So me being able to have that in my life is a huge outlet when done properly and safe. The other 10%, I do have a younger family and I do have a little one. I'm glad that the Second Amendment is there. Our restriction, I don't want to say restriction, the process for Illinois actually is more so than some other states. For example, Iowa. I was able to buy a firearm that same day in the state of Iowa, as opposed to here where there is a vetting process. They do the background checks. You can't actually walk out with that firearm the same day.
Realistically, there is a whole site for the Illinois State Police that we have logins for, and then whoever has a FOID card, we just take that number, we put all the information into like a little portal, and it just tells us if they're approved, denied, or delayed. It's really simple.
And if you're approved, it means that you're clear, you have nothing on your record.
Right.
Delayed is just simply they need more time to review. And a denial is a multitude of reasons. Can be something as simple as your address doesn't match, can flag you to not own a gun. It's set up for more that if there's a reason you shouldn't have a gun, it allows you.
The most important thing to us is getting background checks in place at a federal level. It means that these guns are getting in the hands of criminals and other dangerous people like domestic abusers, which is resulting in this gun violence.
So it's about intent. If someone has a malintent with a gun, it is really irregardless of how they get it. They can get it in an illegal way. If you're going to break the law in one way, you probably don't care about most of the other ones.
There's a lot of talk about how the regulations, the background checks aren't far enough, and we need more psychological tests, things like that, and that what we're doing right now isn't enough.
I'd be willing, as a law-abiding citizen, to hear a little more debate on the psychological piece.
It would be a great thing if we were somehow able to combine criminal records and mental health records, but how do we differentiate a mental health disorder that can or cannot allow you to have a gun? If you're depressed, is that enough to say you can't own a gun?
There's no need for anybody to have a firearm that can shoot rounds at that rate.
We don't. No. Bump stocks are kind of a novelty. Anybody who's serious in the shooting world thinks they're a joke. They really have no practical use.
So stating, should I be able to purchase and actually have those things? But as civilians, no. I feel like what's the stock that you have is what it should have. I don't think anybody should be able to have it.
These policies enjoy broad public support, and according to Professor Tribe and constitutional experts from across the ideological spectrum, would not violate constitutional rights.
But our founding fathers decided to make 10 of the most important constitutional rights, the top 10, the Bill of Rights. And why did they decide that? Well, you have the freedom of speech and the whole litany of them, but why did they include that one? Because everyone has the right to defend their own life. If it's not on you, who else is going to do it?
But as a woman, though, I mean, it's a big deal. If I'm against someone who's a male who's at 230 pounds and I'm 130 pounds, I mean, I stand no chance. So
Exactly.
having a firearm is a benefit.
I do have a younger family, and I do have a little one. I do feel like I'm glad that the Second Amendment is there, allowing me to make sure that I feel like I am protecting my family.
Most Americans, I believe, the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to bear arms. I respect our strong tradition of gun ownership and the rights of hunters and sportsmen. There are millions of responsible, law-abiding gun owners in America who cherish their right to bear arms for hunting or sport or protection or collection. I also believe most gun owners agree that we can respect the Second Amendment while keeping an irresponsible, law-breaking few from inflicting harm on a massive scale.